Shalom. This is Yeshaya Yisrael, giving honor and praise unto Yah, the creator and the maker of heaven and earth. This video here is entitled, Humans and Angels Did Not Have Sex, Part 1a. We're going to start in Genesis chapter 6, verse 1, and go over a couple of references. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fear, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, that they bore children to them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And God saw the wickedness of man, that it was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out is that you have it to where there are brothers and sisters and people in general who are teaching an ideology that says that when it says the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that those were angelic beings from the heavens who came down on earth and had sex with human females. But now let's see what the scriptures actually says concerning who are the sons of God. Now, if we will, let's go to Isaiah 43, verse 6, if we will, to let the scripture speak for itself. Yeshayahu, or Isaiah 43, we're going to start in verse 6, and it says, I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Everyone who is called by my name, for I have created him for my glory. I have formed him, yea, I have made him. So what it's saying right here, it shows you that the Most High is speaking about his sons and his daughters, and this is actually speaking about human beings. All right, so let that be understood. Everyone that is called by his name. And what name did he give? He gave his name to who? The nation of Israel. All right, so let's move on, if we will, brothers and sisters. Let's go, if we will, into the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. We're going to start in verse 19. Deuteronomy, 32nd chapter, we're going to start 19th verse, and it reads as follows. That way we can gain some understanding. And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. So another reference right here in which we see that human beings are called the sons and the daughters of the Most High. You understand? Let's go, if we will, into Deuteronomy 14, verse 1. And let's see what we can gain from that. You are the children of the Lord your God. You should not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. Now, one of the things I wanted to go over concerning that particular portion, if we will, if we can go to Deuteronomy chapter 14, if we will, Deuteronomy 14, verse 1, and we can read this within the Hebrew, so that way we can gain some type of understanding concerning that matter. Thank you for the time. We are in Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1, and it says this. In the Hebrew, Banim Atem Laya Eloheikem. Banim Atem means sons are you all. You all are sons. You all are sons unto the Lord your God. To the Most High, you all are sons. We are sons of the Most High. And now let's go to Exodus chapter 4, verse 22. So that way we can gain some understanding. We are in Exodus chapter 4, verse 22. And it says this. We're going to read it in the English. And it says this first. You shall say to Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, my firstborn son is Israel. Now in the Hebrew, we read this in Exodus chapter 4, verse 22. And it says the following. Wa amarata el paro, ko amar yod hewahe, beni bekori Yisrael, My son, my firstborn, is Israel. So now let's go from there to Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 9, so that way we can gain some understanding concerning this matter. We are in Jeremiah, the 31st chapter. We are going to start in verse 9, and we read, They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters, and the straight way wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. So that right here just goes to show you who is the son of the Most High. That's being Israel. And it also shows in other parts, as in Deuteronomy 14:1, as in Deuteronomy 32:19, as in Isaiah 43, verse 6, who are the sons of the Most High. And it is speaking about human beings. So there are several references in the scriptures in which human beings will be referred to as the sons of the Most High. So let's go back with that understanding now, taking it line upon line and precept upon precept into the book of Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 again. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fear, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Now, in part 1 of humans and angels had sex, ? No, basically went over the fact that the Most High is just, and that being that the Most High is just, this shows you that this act right here had to have been between human males and human females, because it was human males who actually got the punishment along with human females concerning this act right here. Now, if we will, because some people like to use what we will call like external references or other things outside of the canonized Bible, if we will, I have a book here entitled The Book of Joshua. All right. Now, I wanted to sit there and go over a particular portion concerning this right here, about man and his wickedness and what man was into. All right. So that way we can gain some understanding of what's going on. We are in the book of Joshua, chapter 4. We can start in verse 16. It says, And all the sons of men departed from the ways of the Lord in those days, as they multiplied upon the face of the earth with sons and daughters. And they taught one another their evil practices, and they continued sinning against the Lord. And every man made unto himself a god, and they robbed and plundered every man his neighbor as well as his relative. And they corrupted the earth, and the earth was filled with violence. And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men, and took their wives by force from their husbands, according to their choice. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other, in order therewith to provoke the Lord. And God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all the flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth, all men and all animals. And the Lord said, I will blot out man with that I have created from the face of the earth, yea, from man to birds of the air, together with cattle and beasts that are in the field, for I repent that I made them. And all men that walked in the ways of the Lord died in those days, before the Lord brought the evil upon man, which he had declared. For this was from the Lord, that they should not see the evil which the Lord spoke concerning the sons of men. Now, one of the things to let it be noted and understood emphatically is that it distinctly right there, brothers and sisters, goes to show that that the rulers of the people, as we read in the book of Joshua, took of the daughters of men. So now, understanding, as we had just read in there, when it says the sons of God saw the daughters of men, if you correlate it, as many attempt to do with external biblical references, that right there is speaking about men of renown, men who were like unto the Elohim. Elohim also means judges. That is why in the book of Exodus, chapter 21, chapter 22, when it says you should not revile the judges, it uses the Hebrew word Elohim, because that is what it says right there. The book of Psalms, chapter 82, verse 5 and 6 says, Ye are gods, or ye sons of the Most High. So we are like that in Elohim. We are not the Most High. We are not the creator, but we are Elohim in that aspect, if you understand what's being said. So now in Exodus 20, when the Most High said, you shall not have any other Elohim or any other gods before me, that includes making people more important than the Most High himself. So that also goes to show that there are other Elohim, which is inclusive of human beings upon the earth. So now, with that being said, brothers and sisters, and the understanding gaining from that, it distinctly shows you why the Most High is going to destroy man from off the face of the earth. You understand? The book of Joshua, unless I'm mistaken, does not speak about angelic beings coming down on earth and having sex with females. That right there, it seems to be a ploy made by some men so that way they can seem to excommunicate themselves due to the fact of the Most High bringing a wickedness upon the earth. As if to say, no, it was angels in the sky and human females. I, male, human being, have nothing to do with it. That right there is emphatically a weak ploy to try to sit there and wiggle your way out of that kind of situation. All right. Now, if we go, if we will, to Deuteronomy, back into the law of the Father. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 22. All right. So that way we can gain some understanding concerning the ways of the Father. Deuteronomy 22:22 said the following. If a man be found laying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away the evil from Yisrael. What's being stated right here is that if a man and a woman are being intimate and having sexual intercourse, if that woman is married, the guilty party is the adulterous woman and the adulterous man. The husband of the woman is not the guilty party. My point in mentioning this is that the Most High is just. So if human males were not guilty of the acts that we read of in Genesis chapter 6, why are human males being punished in Genesis chapter 6 concerning the flood? Because when it says from that decree that the Father made, 120 years later is when the flood began to happen. So a lot of times people will sit there and go into other references, let's say like the book of Enoch, that actually in that aspect speaks about human beings with females having sexual intercourse with angels from the skies, from the heavens, and so forth and so on. One of the things we have to be noted and understood is that in the writing of many books, there is no end, and much studies of weariness to the flesh. You see, so because the book of Enoch has been mentioned like in certain parts in the Bible and everything like that, people will say anything then that has the name Enoch on it must be what the Bible itself is talking about. Not necessarily the case. Because you can have a book like it says the book of the wars of the Lord, or the book of the prophet Gad, or the book of the prophet Edo, which are other books that are also mentioned in the Bible that's not mentioned, that's actually not in the Bible. And so anybody who comes with a publication saying, see, this says the book of the wars of the Lord or the book of the prophet Gad, and you have people running headstrong saying this must be what the Bible books is talking about. Emphatically, that is not the case. So certain things has to be noted and understood. Now, I will conclude with this part right here. Angels and humans did not have sex. 1A. Shalom.